Imagine Earth 1.8 million years ago. Dense forests, wide open grasslands, towering mountains, and dangerous creatures roaming everywhere. At this time, there were no modern humans, only our ancestors, the Homo erectus. They had no homes, no clothes, and no tools beyond simple stones. Every day was a struggle for survival, finding food, avoiding predators, and enduring the freezing nights. Their only question was, how do we survive today? One stormy night, the sky roared with thunder. A bolt of lightning struck a dry old tree nearby. In seconds, smoke rose and fiery red-orange flames leapt into the air. The small group of Homo erectus stared in fear and awe. Some ran, others hid, while a few stood frozen. For them, this was a miracle, something powerful, something unknown. Slowly, the braver ones moved closer. They saw that wild animals avoided the flames. They felt warmth in the cold night, a kind of comfort they had never known. What was this? A god? An enemy? Or something they could use? At first, they only watched. Then someone threw a dry branch into the fire. It crackled and roared, and the flames grew higher. It was the first time humans understood fire could be fed, and it could be kept alive. From that moment, a new responsibility was born, to guard the flame. If it died, they might never see it again. One evening, after a hunt, they gathered near the fire. A piece of meat accidentally fell onto the embers. Later, when someone picked it up and tasted it, the flavor was different, softer, richer, easier to chew. This was the first cooked meal in human history. From that day on, they began to cook their food, made their bodies stronger and freed more energy for their growing brains. Fire didn't just change food, it changed life itself. Now the night was no longer ruled by darkness. They could sit together, share stories, and feel safe. For the first time, humans conquered fear of the dark. Fire became a shield against predators, a tool for preparing meals, and above all, a symbol of security. Gathered around the flames, they began to communicate more. Their language grew, their thoughts connected, and their bonds deepened. Small groups slowly became the roots of society. Cooked food reshaped their bodies. Their faces became slimmer, their teeth smaller, and their brains larger. This was the turning point that pushed humans towards civilization. Today, we strike a lighter or turn on a stove in seconds. But imagine that first moment, the day our ancestors held fire under their control. It wasn't just fire, it was hope, it was power. It was the dawn of humanity. The first flame gave warmth, safety, and food. But more than that, it gave us the spark that turned hunters into creators, wanderers into dreamers, and survival into civilization. This is the story of the first flame, the moment 1.8 million years ago, when humankind first stepped out of darkness and into the light.
Fire!
Dense forests, wide open grasslands, towering mountains, and dangerous creatures roaming everywhere. At this time, there were no modern humans, only our ancestors, the Homo erectus. They had no homes, no clothes, and no tools beyond simple stones. Every day was a struggle for survival, finding food, avoiding predators, and enduring the freezing nights. Their only question was, how do we survive today? One stormy night, the sky roared with thunder. A bolt of lightning struck a dry old tree nearby. In seconds, smoke rose and fiery red-orange flames leapt into the air. The small group of Homo erectus stared in fear and awe. Some ran, others hid, while a few stood frozen. For them, this was a miracle, something powerful, something unknown. Slowly, the braver ones moved closer. They saw that wild animals avoided the flames. They felt warmth in the cold night, a kind of comfort they had never known. What was this? A god? An enemy? Or something they could use? At first, they only watched. Then someone threw a dry branch into the fire. It crackled and roared, and the flames grew higher. It was the first time humans understood fire could be fed, and it could be kept alive. From that moment, a new responsibility was born: to guard the flame. If it died, they might never see it again. One evening, after a hunt, they gathered near the fire. A piece of meat accidentally fell onto the embers. Later, when someone picked it up and tasted it, the flavor was different, softer, richer, easier to chew. This was the first cooked meal in human history. From that day on, they began to cook their food, made their bodies stronger and freed more energy for their growing brains. Fire didn't just change food, it changed life itself. Now the night was no longer ruled by darkness. They could sit together, share stories, and feel safe. For the first time, humans conquered fear of the dark. Fire became a shield against predators, a tool for preparing meals, and above all, a symbol of security. Gathered around the flames, they began to communicate more. Their language grew, their thoughts connected, and their bonds deepened. Small groups slowly became the roots of society. Cooked food reshaped their bodies. Their faces became slimmer, their teeth smaller, and their brains larger. This was the turning point that pushed humans towards civilization. Today, we strike a lighter or turn on a stove in seconds. But imagine that first moment, the day our ancestors held fire under their control. It wasn't just fire, it was hope, it was power. It was the dawn of humanity. The first flame gave warmth, safety, and food. But more than that, it gave us the spark that turned hunters into creators, wanderers into dreamers, and survival into civilization. This is the story of the first flame, the moment 1.8 million years ago, when humankind first stepped out of darkness and into the light.